If you're trying to get a handle on the economy right now, you are definitely not alone. It feels like one headline is screaming growth, while the very next one is whispering recession. It's a real puzzle of mixed signals, and in this explainer, we're going to try and put some of those pieces together. So, which one is it? Are we on the brink of something great, or should we be getting ready for a downturn? The headlines are all over the place, but I think if we break down some of the key signals, we can start to see a much clearer picture emerge. Okay, first up, let's look right here at home at the US economy, because the signals we're getting are coming from the very top, and, well, let's just say they're not exactly on the same page. On the one hand, you've got this incredibly optimistic statement from Treasury Secretary Bessent. He's painting a picture of a really strong, thriving economy that's about to kick into high gear. This is the official, super positive forecast. But then, you have this number, 2. That's how many interest rate cuts Federal Reserve Governor Miran thinks we might see this year. And that's the head-scratcher, right? The Fed usually cuts rates to give a boost to a slowing economy, not one that's supposedly about to boom. And that's really the bottom line here. You have the Treasury predicting this amazing growth, while the Federal Reserve is getting ready to, hit the stimulus button. These two moves are based on completely different reads of the exact same economy. It's a huge tension right at the heart of U.S. policy. Now, this kind of tension isn't just at the policy level, it's actually mirrored in the markets where investors seem to have a similar split personality. Let's take a look at two totally different assets: the new kid on the block, cryptocurrency, and the old reliable safe haven gold. And wow, you can really see the split right here. We're seeing gold, the thing people run to when they're nervous, skyrocket to a new all-time high of $4,200. And at the exact same time, a huge digital asset like Ethereum is dropping below the $4,000 mark. On the surface, it looks like a classic run for safety. But hold on a second. When we're talking about a technology as new as crypto, is the daily price chart really the whole story? Or is there maybe something else happening under the hood that we ought to be paying attention to? And here is the plot twist. Even with that price dip, new data is showing that Ethereum has been ranked as the #1 ecosystem for bringing in new developers in 2025. That tells you that the people who are actually building the future of this tech are more committed than ever. So when you put it all together, the crypto scene is just incredibly complicated. You've got a major exchange like Coinbase adding new assets. You have this surge of talent flooding into Ethereum's ecosystem, and yet the price is falling. It's like you have this bearish price action colliding head-on with some seriously bullish growth fundamentals. And this pattern of contradictions, it isn't just in the markets. It goes all the way to the highest levels of global politics, especially when we talk about the relationship between the two biggest economies in the world, the US and China. And here, we're hearing two completely different stories from American leadership. So first, we hear from Treasury Secretary Bessent again. And he's describing a relationship built on optimism and keeping the lines of communication open. This sounds like the voice of diplomacy, of cooperation. And then you get this, a completely different take from President Trump, who flat out says the U.S. is in a trade war with China. He's framing the entire relationship through a lens of conflict and national security. Putting these two side by side really just shows you how deep the divide is. On one side, you have this vision of engagement and talking. On the other, a belief that tariffs are absolutely critical for national security. We're not just talking about a subtle difference in tone here. These are two fundamentally opposite strategies for one of the most important relationships on the planet. Okay, so what are we supposed to do with all this conflicting info? How do we even begin to navigate all this noise to find the actual signal? Let's just quickly recap the main tensions we've uncovered. So it really boils down to three key battlegrounds, right? In the economy, it's this optimistic outlook versus a very cautious policy. In digital assets, it's the wild price swings versus the steady growth of the actual ecosystem. And in foreign policy, it's this fundamental split between talking it out and putting up walls. And here's why all this matters to you and me. These aren't just abstract ideas or something to skim in the morning headlines. Each of these tensions represents powerful, competing forces that are literally shaping our economic future, our investments, and our world. And that brings us to the biggest challenge of all. The experts, the people at the very top, they don't seem to have a single unified story about what's coming next. So understanding these competing ideas is the first step. But the real question is, when the signals are this jumbled, how do you decide what's next when even the people in charge can't seem to agree?